How to plan and photograph the hybrid solar eclipse happening on April 20th, 2023. Hello PHOTOPILLER, Rafael the Bar here. A hybrid solar eclipse is super rare, extremely rare. It occurs when the same eclipse along the eclipse path changes from an annular solar eclipse, you know, when you see the ring of fire around the moon, to a total solar eclipse, when the moon completely covers the sun's disk, or vice versa. This means that there will be locations where you can experience a total solar eclipse and other locations where you can experience the annular solar eclipse. So, if you wish to photograph the hybrid solar eclipse, you need to know when and where the eclipse will be visible. You need a plan. Therefore, let's see first how you can plan your photo of the hybrid solar eclipse, and then afterwards we'll see all the gear you need and all the camera settings you need to photograph both the annular solar eclipse and the total solar eclipse. Let's go! As you know, the hybrid solar eclipse will be visible only on certain locations on Earth. Therefore, the first thing you need to do is to figure out where on Earth the eclipse will be visible and at what time each phase of the eclipse will occur. With this information, you'll be able to plan your shot. So let's start planning. Go to PhotoPills, and here tap on Planner, and tap on the Map Settings button, the button next to the plus button on the map, and on the map layers, tap on Eclipse, and here from the Eclipse calendar, choose our hybrid solar eclipse happening on April the 20th, 2023. This is the eclipse. Go back to the map, and now make sure that the date has been set to April 20th, 2023 on the time bar, and on the map you have the areas where the eclipse will be visible. Also, swipe the top panel to the left until you get to the eclipse panel where you see the times of the phases of the eclipse. So what we have here, we have the places where the eclipse will be partial. This is the area among these yellow lines you see on the map. If I place the red pin here in Indonesia, for example, you see that here we can only see the partial solar eclipse. If you wish to see totality or the annular eclipse, you need to be on the path of totality. And if you want to photograph the annular eclipse, you need to be more to the west, more to the east, I may say, here. I think here, around here is where you can see the phase of the annular eclipse. More to the east is where you can see the annular eclipse phase. Here, yep, more to the east. So, if you want to photograph the annular eclipse phase, you need to go further away to the east. But if you want to photograph the total solar eclipse, so totality, where the moon will be covering the whole sun's disk, you need to go, for example, here in Australia. It's the only part of Australia where you can see, well, I know all these islands here, where you can see the total solar eclipse, all the phases of the eclipse, including totality. Okay, so to plan your shot, just place the red pin on the location you want to go and shoot the eclipse, for example, here in Borrow Island, and on the top panel you have all the times each phase of the eclipse occurs. For example, totality begins at 11:33:44 seconds. The eclipse is maximum at 11:34 and 16 seconds AM, and totality ends at 11 hours 34 minutes 48 seconds AM. So you know when the total eclipse begins and ends. Also, if you swipe time bar, you'll see how the eclipse evolves, so you know the time each phase of the eclipse occurs. And also on the map you have the direction where the eclipse will occur, which is this kind of gray line you see moving on the map. This is telling me, well, the sun and the moon will be right there, so you know where the eclipse is happening. And if you are at the right position, you can always tap the AR button and visualize where the eclipse is happening in the sky. And as you see, this is the horizon and this is the eclipse, so it's super high in the sky. This eclipse is a tough one to align more exactly. If I go to panel number 3, I will be able to see the elevation of the sun and the moon. In this case, the elevation of the sun is 56.12 degrees, the same as the elevation of the moon. So yeah, the eclipse will be occurring very high in the sky. So you want to align the eclipse with something interesting, you need to go deep in a canyon or something. Let's imagine that you want to come here in Poro Island and photograph the eclipse. You know the time the total eclipse begins, you know where the sun will be, so you plan your shot. So now let's see the key you need to photograph the hybrid solar eclipse. Let's go! Whether your goal is to photograph the hybrid solar eclipse with no foreground, or to photograph the eclipse aligned with an interesting subject, you'll need the same equipment. You'll need your tripod on hand, your camera of course, a telephoto lens, 300mm, 400mm, 500mm or more. The longer the focal length, the better. And here you have a crop sensor camera, you can benefit of the multiplying effect on the focal length. And if you have a teleconverter, it may be a good idea to use it too to get a much longer focal length. If your goal is to photograph the landscape with the path of the eclipse, then you'll need a wide-angle lens. At the end of the day, your lens choice will depend on the photo you want, on the framing you want. Also, if you don't want to risk damaging your sensor during the phase of the partial eclipse or the annular eclipse, or damaging your eyes when you're looking through your viewfinder, you must use a solar filter. An ND filter is not enough to protect your eyes nor your camera sensor. So use a solar filter and a pair of solar eclipse glasses. But, and having said that, if you want to capture detail in the foreground and on your subject, you'll need to use an ND filter instead. Like Josh Cripps did to capture this amazing photo. He used the 10 stops ND filter to capture detail on the foreground. Okay, and finally, use an external shutter release or an interpolometer. You must avoid vibrations at all costs, because vibrations will ruin your images of the eclipse. On the eclipse date, arrive at the shooting location 1 hour or so before the eclipse begins. For the total solar eclipse in 2017, we arrived the day before to the shooting spot. When ready, set up everything at the planned shooting spot. Remember the red pin position, and make sure that everything is stable. And use the PhotoPills augmented reality view to locate the eclipse in the sky, the path of the eclipse and the eclipse in the sky, so you make sure that you are at the right shooting spot. Now set the focal length you wish to use to get the framing you want, for example a 500mm, and attach the solar filter to the lens. And this is important. Keep the solar filter in front of your lens during the phases of the partial eclipse and the annular eclipse. Because remember that during the partial eclipse and the annular eclipse, the moon never covers completely the sun's disk. So keep the solar filter in front of the lens. But if you're photographing a total solar eclipse, during totality or just before totality, make sure that you remove the solar filter. Otherwise you won't be able to photograph the eclipse during totality. So be fast and remove the solar filter, don't forget it. Now, if you're shooting with a telephoto lens, to photograph the partial phase and the annular solar eclipse phase, meet the light on the surface of the sun before the eclipse begins. And set the aperture to f8 for a nice deep depth of field. Set the nominal ISO on your camera, for example ISO 100, and set the shutter speed that gives you the right exposure on the surface of the sun. Usually a shutter speed between 1 divided 500 and 1 divided 1000 seconds will work. Will work during the phase of the partial eclipse and the annular eclipse. And if you're photographing a total solar eclipse, then to photograph the diamond ring, set the base shutter speed of 1 divided by 30 seconds. To photograph the Bailey's bead, set the base shutter speed of 1 divided 500 seconds. To photograph the sun's corona, set the base shutter speed of 1 divided 30 seconds. And to photograph the chromosphere, set the base shutter speed of 1 divided 500 seconds. And in all situations, make sure that you're bracketing your exposures to make sure that you get at least one photo correctly exposed. Usually a one-stop bracketing of 9 photos will be more than enough. And before you start shooting, make sure that you focus on the edge of the sun. And if you're photographing the eclipse aligned with an interesting subject, make focus on your subject. Take a test shot and make sure that both the eclipse and your subject are in focus. And there is an easy way to make sure that when focusing on your subject, you keep both your subject and the sun or the moon in focus or acceptably sharp, and I explain it in this video. Watch it. And last but not least, also make sure that the exposure is right. Check that you're capturing detail on your subject, and also make sure that you're capturing detail on the eclipse too. And if something looks wrong, just make the necessary adjustments on the exposure or in the focusing. Well, and now you're ready to photograph the hybrid solar eclipse. All you have to do is to enjoy the show.
No, stop. Those.
Show me the eclipse, Tony. Show me the photo.
Start the eclipse. Oh my god! Wow, start.
Yes,
come on.
Now is to learn how to plan and photograph any other solar eclipse. I recommend you to download and study well our super detailed solar eclipse photography guide. I'm gonna leave a link in the description of this video and in the first comment below. Check it out. And as always, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next Wednesday in another video. And remember that you have the power to imagine, plan, and shoot legendary photos. Bye.